Hello everyone, welcome to ending number C, which I think you can guess pretty well on the I think I mentioned in the last one there are a number of endings you can do. I've already read them off, so it probably has spoiled it, but I didn't do that with intention to spoil it. I did it because it's basically, maybe I've only known there will be one ending. So at least if I know there's how to do it and what endings you guys can expect, you don't exactly know what order I've done it in. So let's do unnecessary searches. So let's save it on this one just to make sure we're actually doing it right, because I might have to load game. So let's see if this triggers it. Sorry, just not my mic there.
Too late. I'm sorry, Lombard. You may have left those men to die, but Owen had no right to be your executioner.
Chapter 10. One little sailor boy left all alone. He went and hanged himself, and then there were none.
I hear a voice. No, voices. They're coming from upstairs.
I don't understand. How can you be here? How could you get into my room so easily?
I've always had a duplicate set of keys, Miss Claythorne, as a former and actually the current owner of this house.
You own this house?
I have for several years. I saw to it that Emily Brent died 2 weeks ago. I took her place for the weekend. My finest performance, I think. Worthy of the Oscar the Academy always refused me.
But the bee stings!
Hurt like hell, and did nothing for my complexion. But Emily Brent was allergic, not me. It's my apiary, after all.
Who are you?
My name is Gabrielle Steele. You've seen my posters in the screening room.
The actress. Some scandal in Hollywood.
Scandal? Well, I guess if you call trying to kill your leading man a scandal, yes, it was. My final picture, Last of the Borgias, something happened. Lillian Borgia, the character I portrayed. One day on the set, suddenly she was inside my head. She wormed her way in. That's the only way I can think to explain it. Telling me to do things. Showing me how. They called it a breakdown. I now like to think of it as a meeting of two minds.
But why this elaborate plot? Why kill all these people? Why?
Wargrave, of course. He was absolutely right. He was the central character in our little drama.
The Edward Seaton trial?
Yes, Edward Seaton. My love. My life. We met some years ago when I first came to London to star in a play in the West End. Then, after the incident in Hollywood, I came back to England to rest. They wanted me to rest. Edward and I fell in love. I cannot describe to you the depth of our love. You wouldn't understand. I've seen how you flirted with Lombard and Narracott, playing them off against one another.
Did I? I was frightened and confused.
I suppose that's as good an explanation as any. I was never confused. Edward was an innocent man railroaded by that venomous old judge simply to prove a point. That it was his courtroom, his law. 3 days Edward suffered. He couldn't bear the shame or what it would do to me. He killed himself for me. I wanted Wargrave to suffer those 3 days, watching as death approached, powerless to prevent it.
But why the rest of us?
I met Miss Brent at a resort soon after I arrived in England. Hateful old hag. I think I caught her qualities quite nicely. I heard how she had punished Beatrice Taylor for her so-called sin. Drove her to take her own life, just as Wargrave had driven Edward to suicide. I wanted to extend Wargrave's torture for 3 excruciating days. What better way than to make him watch others die? Crimes committed under his very nose. Deaths he was helpless to prevent. How his ego must have been scraped raw.
You researched? Found us all?
Others who had apparently escaped justice, like Miss Brent, with the help of my attorney, Archibald Morris.
How could he agree to help with such a mad plan?
Mad? Madmen kill for no reason, no sense of justice at all. I only killed those who deserved to die. And Morris was a perfect little lawyer, asking no questions as long as the money was good. He'd been responsible for a few miscarriages of justice on his own, so killing him was not a serious moral dilemma. Then the stage was set. We arrived on my island, and the play began. The trickiest part was goading Armstrong into getting so drunk he wouldn't notice the imperceptible pulse that remained after I took the curare. A few bee stings, and then a liberal application of Bellman's universal embrocation to complete the effect. It causes a nasty rash. He saw what he expected to see, a severe allergic reaction that can only result in death.
You killed the judge twice.
Hardly. The first time was some fool scheme he cooked up on his own with Armstrong, so he could pretend to be dead and catch Mr. Owen. I admit stealing Miss Brent's grey yarn and fashioning a wig from it was a nice touch. I was so angry. I couldn't think who'd done it or why. I thought braining him with his own law book would be enough to fit the Chancery rhyme.
If you shoot me, you'll be arrested. Patrick will catch you.
I'll deal with Miss Narracott presently. Then I'll take poison. This ring I wear is a prop from the Borgia movie. Came in very handy this weekend. First for Marston, then Ethel, then my own curare. And now, here we are. Once I'm dead, you can hang yourself and complete the rhyme.
And if I refuse to hang myself?
My dear, what do you think will happen to you if you're the only person found alive on an island with 10 dead bodies? If you don't hang yourself, the law most certainly will.
Patrick!
Right, I'm going to save it here because when I do the last ending, I'm not going to go through that bit again. So we need to be quick.
I'm sorry I wasn't in time to save Lombard. If only I'd gotten to Shiprock sooner.
He was responsible for the deaths of 21 men, Patrick. I don't know what I ever saw in him. Will you listen to me now?
If you insist.
Hugo and Cyril went down to the beach early that day. By the time I arrived, Cyril was out too far. It was too late to reach him. Hugo claimed he had been distracted helping a passerby with directions. I knew how it would look. I thought I loved him. So I told the coroner's inquest that it was I who had been on the beach. Later, when I was cleared, Hugo was jubilant. Yet his feelings for me seemed to have vanished. I realized I had served my purpose. How would it have looked if the boy who stood between him and a fortune died while in his charge? He didn't think he'd done anything wrong. That was the most frightening part. Cyril wanted to swim out to the rocks. All Hugo did was let him.
Mr. Owen invited the wrong guest. It should have been Hugo out there.
No. I should have told the police the truth in the first place. I will now. I have no more right to subvert justice than Mr. Owen. Where is your brother?
Plymouth, turning himself in. Thanks to your statement, he's sure to be exonerated.
And us?
Are you still confused?
No. I'm certain now. What about you?
Well, there's another ending to that 10 Little Sailor Boys rhyme. One little sailor boy left all alone. He got married, and then there were none.
Silence, please. I have prepared a special reward for you. The original ending to our little story is somewhat different than the one you have just experienced. If you can complete a final puzzle, childishly simple really, you will be able to learn the original solution to "And Then There Were None," as Dame Agatha Christie first wrote it. Interested? Then your first step is to make your way to the dining room.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do, I'm not actually going to do it in a video. I'm going to load game from the previous save, and I'm going to show the last ending, which can only be one, and I'm sure you guys have worked it out. What happens if you let Miss Claythorne die?
I can't risk grabbing for the gun. She'd surely get a shot off before I reached her. I need to save Vera. But how? I have to get rid of that gun.
You killed her, Maricot.
The tickets are all booked. Suitcases are in the boot of the taxi. We're all set.
Thanks, Pat.
Don't thank me. If I'd been able to save at least one person on Shipwreck Island, they could have corroborated Blor's confession. You'd be cleared and we wouldn't be running to Australia.
Are you sure you have to go?
Fred, there are 10 bodies on that island waiting to be discovered. Mr. Owen was right. The law would see that the last little sailor boy hangs.
Silence, please. I have prepared a special reward for you. The original ending to our little story is somewhat different than the one you have just experienced. If you can complete a final puzzle, childishly simple really, you will be able to learn the original solution to "And Then There Were None," as Dame Agatha Christie first wrote it. Interested? Then your first step is to
Well,
make your
guys,
way
that's
to the
it.
dining room
That's the
for
end
a
of
final
Agatha
treat.
Agatha Christie's, and then there was none, and then there was none. So, thanks for watching this LP. I really hope you enjoy it. I've managed to get it done, so now all I need to do, at the point of recording this video, excuse me, is to upload the videos. So I hope you enjoyed this last bonus one, and that's the one where just Narracott is saved. He and his brother run away. So until we have a new LP, thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ta for now.